Okay, welcome back. Today's class is a continuation of Frege sense and reference. And in the last class, we have seen how Frege formulated the problem. For him, the question was how a sign referred to an object. What's the relation between a sign and an object? So, he explored the question. This all we are discussing in the last class. He explored the question by considering the notion of identity. Whether identity is the relation between two signs or it's the relation between two objects. He found that in both the cases, whether we take identity as the relation between signs or we take identity as the relation between objects, then the cognitive value is lost. It's not informing us anything. That A is identical to B is not informing you anything. Say for example, Frege's own example, that morning star is identical with evening star. When you say morning star is identical with evening star, there is some informative content in that. And in both the cases, the identity of signs or the identity of object, this cognitive content is lost. Now in today's talk, we look into the solution that Frege gives. Frege's solution to the identity puzzle. He attempts for the solution by introducing the term sense, in German Sinn. And reference we already mentioned, that is the object. Morning star is the sign and the Venus, the star Venus is the object. And he introduced a notion of sense between sign and object. The sign is here what we talk about and the object is here what is referred to. And in between there is a notion called sense or sin or meaning we can say. Okay, so how an object is expressed through a sign. How an object is expressed through the sign is called the sense or meaning of that expression. And he calls it the mode of presentation. How the object is revealed in front of you through the sign. That is the mode of representation. And the mode of representation he calls the sense of that sign. So a sign refers to an object through its sense. And this sense, he says, can be different for different signs. So one and the same object, say Venus, may be represented with a sign morning star or with another sign evening star. In both the cases, the mode of representation changes. And it is the mode of representation that gives the cognitive value. That we will see later on. Now, what he says is that a proper name expresses a sense and refers to an object. When we say morning star, it expresses a sense, the star which rises at the eastern horizon before sunrise. That's the sense and refers to an object, that is Venus. So, as in the case of the earlier theories of meaning, a sign is not a tag attached to an object. It's not just tagging. It's not just naming. It refers to that object through a sense or through a mode of presentation. And it expresses the sign, expresses the sense. And through that sense we reach out the object. That's what Frege says. The sense of a proper name is the mode of presentation of the object. How the object is presented, how it is presented to you is the sense. When we call morning star, the Venus is presented as the planet which rises at the eastern horizon before sunrise. And when we call it evening star, it is presented as the planet which is appearing in the western horizon just after sunset. Even though it's one and the same object, the mode of presentation is different. And that's what its sense is. That's what Frege says. The sense of a sentence, or we can call it thought, is determined by the sense of its constituents. different senses make different contribution to a thought. The sense of a thought, what Frege calls thought, is a proposition. A proposition, as we told, Ram killed Ravana and Ravana killed Ram. It's not the sentence which is proposition, but the meaning of it. So, in case of a sentence or thought, specifically in Frege's case, the proposition or its meaning is determined by the sense of its constituents, its elements, how different elements are combined in the thought, and that's how the sense is determined. And different senses make different contributions to a thought. One and the same thing can be thought in different ways. About the killing of Ravana by Ram can be thought in different way, that Ravana is being killed from the standpoint of Ravana, or Ram kills Ravana from the standpoint of Ram. This is one and the same event, one and the same thought, but it can be thought in different ways. And these different ways of thinking about one and the same event or object gives us different notions of the thought. These different ways of thinking about the one and the same object or event or thing is different contribution to the one and the same thought. Then we can say that any two terms having the same sense refer to the same object. In earlier cases, we have seen that two signs having different thought can refer to one and the same object. But if the sense is same, the object cannot be different. Even when the sense is different, the object can be same. Just think of it. It's a bit confusing. Even though the sense is, the meaning is different, it can reach out the same object. But if the meaning is same, it can reach out one object only. That's what is meant here. Any two terms having the same sense refer to the same object. That's why we call that it's the sense which determines reference. What is the reference? The object which the sign refers to. That reference is determined by the sense. So having same sense, two signs cannot refer to different objects. One can improve the knowledge about an object by knowing more senses or modes of representation of that object. That is, one and the same object can be presented to you in different ways. This actually improves the knowledge about that object. So if the sign differs, the object remains the same. Since the sign differs, the mode of presentation differs. So you are getting one and the same object presented in different ways so that you can improve the knowledge about that object. For example, if I say Narendra Modi, or simply calling Modi, is a person. In language, we can call it as an object represented by a sign. Okay. Not in the same sense of a physical object. It's an object. So we represent it by the sign, the simple sign Modi. So Modi directly refers, it's a tag. There is no meaning for Modi through which it refers the object. But we can say, or we can say the Prime Minister who is elected in the year 2009. So when we ask who is the Prime Minister who is elected in India during the year 2009, definitely it refers to the present PM Narendra Modi. We can also tell him that the Prime Minister who is elected in the 2014 election. It also refers to the sign is different. The way we present him is different. We can also call him the Chief Minister of Gujarat during the Godhra riots in 2002. So during 2002 Godhra riots, the Chief Minister of Gujarat was Narendra Modi. So there was only one Chief Minister for Gujarat in 2002 or during Godhra riots, and that must refer to him. But the mode of presentation is different. And again, or we can say that the Prime Minister who banned currencies of value rupees 500 and 1000. That's again Narendra Modi. So, one and the same Narendra Modi can be represented in various ways. The mode of presentation changes, the sign changes, accordingly the mode of presentation changes, but the object remains one and the same. So, what is done here by referring one and the same object by different modes of presentation, we are actually improving the knowledge about the object. That's why we are telling that the sense is improving. It's not the sign which improves the knowledge about that object, but the sense that the sign represents. So the sense, it's not the sign, but the sense which is improving the knowledge about the object. So if we overlook the sense, we lose the cognitive value. Then a proper name is a linguistic expression which express a sense. A proper name express a sense, and we have seen that through that sense we reach out that object. And also it stands for or refer to or designates an object. It expresses a sense and it designates an object. The present Prime Minister of India expresses a sense, and at present it designates an object, a person. That's Narendra Modi. So it expresses a sense and it stands for or refers to or designates an object. These are the two functions that a sign does. And when we ask how a sign is related to an object, it's related to an object through two functions. One is that it expresses a sense, and the other is that it stands for or it designates or it refers to an object. And an object is the ontological reflection of a name. There is a name, a sign, and what exists. Ontology is the science of existence or the science of being. So, an object is the ontological reflection of a name. How a name or a sign or what a name or a sign refers to an existent, the object. Okay, so it's called an ontological reflection of a sign. That's the object. A proper name, this one important aspects, how a proper name does its function. As we have seen, that expresses and stands for. It's another way of presenting the same, that a proper name expresses or connotes its sense and also refers to its objects. And in logic, you might have studied the connotation and denotation. For any term, there is a connotation and denotation. Connotation is actually the meaning of the term, what the term means. Okay, when we say table, table has got a meaning. A furniture with flat surface and four legs is a table. It has got a meaning. And that meaning is internal, what you understand by the term table. And also, table has got a reference, that is this table, that table, the table in the classroom, the table in the office. All these are tables. So, the meaning of the term table is the connotation of the term table. And the denotation, what it refers to. All tables in the world are denoted by the term table. So the actual referent is what it denotes, and its meaning is what it connotes. So for any sign, there is a meaning, a sense, that is a connotation, and a reference, or what it denotes. So a proper name expresses or connotes its sense. It has got a sense, and it refers or denotes its object outwardly. So inwardly it has got a sense, and outwardly it has got a reference. The sense or mode of presentation mediates between sign and its reference. This I already told. The sign and its referent is mediated or connected with the sense or mode of presentation. So there is a sign and a referent, and in between they are connected through its sense or mode of presentation. Or the sign chooses its object through its mode of presentation. That's what Frege says. And we should not understand, or we should not misunderstand sense to be subjective. Sense is not subjective. As in the case of Moore also, we have seen that the meaning of a proposition is not subjective. It doesn't depend upon the thinking mind. Sense of a term is not the same as the idea in mind. What we conceive in mind, that's not the sense. Each person may have different idea about one and the same term, but sense is objective meaning of that term. As in the case of Moore, we have seen that senses constitute out of the way in which terms are related in a proposition or concepts are related in a proposition. Here also it's the same. It's not what you understand or what I understand that makes a sense, that gives the sense for the sign, but there is an objective understanding how the terms or what the terms in the proposition or what the terms in the sign mean and how they are related. This gives the sense for that sign. So it's objective. And there can be signs with sense but without reference. For example, golden mountain. Earlier we have seen that the sign connotes its sense and denotes its object. There are things which make sense but do not have reference. Example, golden mountain. There can be a golden mountain. There is nothing logically refraining you to think of golden mountain. This will be clear when we study Wittgenstein. Thinkability and possibility. So golden mountain is thinkable. So it's also possible there can be a golden mountain. So it has got a meaning. It has got a sense. It has got a connotation. But there is no golden mountain in the world. So it doesn't have any reference. So there can be sign with sense but no reference. This is the first part regarding the solution that Frege has given. And there are much more explorations that he has done in terms of indirect discourse and all. And these things we'll see in the next class. So what we have seen here is that a sign may refer to an object through its mode of presentation or sense. And different signs have different senses. And through different senses, when it refers to one and the same object, then our knowledge about the object improves. And a sign connotes its sense and denotes or refers to its object. And the sense of a sign is not subjective but it's objective, and there can be signs with sense and without reference. That's all for today. Bye.